All right. Looks like everything's working good. I think we're working. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I can't tell if the mic's working or not. It's not bouncing around. So let me know if you can hear me. I'll give it a second here. Make sure somebody responds. Hopefully. Maybe sounds good. Okay, good. We're good to go then. Let me get disclaimers out of the way. We'll jump into it. This is a weekly live broadcast, pretty much every Thursday, unless something gets in the way. I'm here 7 o'clock Central Time, and I do my best to respond to every chat that comes in during the live broadcast itself. Answer questions, just talk about whatever you want to talk about. It doesn't really matter to me. We can talk about anything: rabbits, quail, gardening, religion, politics, any kind of controversial thing. I don't care because I believe that we can have differences of opinions and still be friends. And that's the only thing I ask: is that be polite, be family friendly, don't start cussing anybody, calling anybody names, being hateful with anybody. Like I said, we can have a difference of opinion. We can still be friends. So I don't mind talking about any of those controversial things if you want to. But other than that, we're usually pretty much on track with rabbits, quail, gardening, those kinds of things. So let's jump into it. We got Buck Reynolds here from Claremore, Oklahoma. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm doing well. Hopefully you are too. Chester Hickman, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Zoart says, hello, great weather here today in South Central Texas. Hit 80 degrees. Wow. That's nice and warm, huh? Um, excuse me. So yeah, we were pretty warm this morning. I think it was like 50-ish degrees whenever I got up this morning. It's pretty nice, but super windy. We got like 30-mile-an-hour winds and 40, 50-mile-an-hour gusts. It's crazy windy out right now. Let's see. David Lister says prayers for everybody in Washington State. Yeah, no kidding. The flooding that's going on up there. So definitely praying for them. Let's see. Gina Crow says thank you for the cider on where to get bunny. I don't think it's cider. The video on where to get bunnies. Yeah, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Thank you for joining tonight. By the way, I appreciate that. We got the Buck Stops Here Homestead. Says, good evening from South Mississippi. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Trio, or Triop, that's what it is. Triop King says, hey, I remember watching your videos on quails years ago, and I just got a notification that you were live. Glad you're still doing these. Yeah, absolutely. I still do. I've slowed down on videos quite a bit because I've covered pretty much everything I can think of. And I have a hard time coming up with new content all the time, but I still do weekly lives almost every week. Last week I couldn't make it because my computer was down. I had to get it repaired. So we're back up and running this week. But yeah, I'm pretty much here every Thursday evening. We got Max. Who's this? Maxim. I don't know what that name is, but anyway, says hello from Belgium. Good to see you, and thank you for joining us all the way from Belgium. Gina Crow says, hey everyone, waves from BF nowhere in Missouri. Yeah, that's where most places in Missouri are, aren't they? Tony from Toronto, good to see you. And Jimbo Slice says, hey Chris, just picked up some snowflake bob whites over the weekend. Well, nice, congratulations on that. I'm not a bob white guy. I mean, I just don't raise bob whites. I never have. I've hunted them before when I was a kid, but there's not very many of them left in the wild around here anymore. Don't see them very often. Hardly, not like we used to. They used to be all over the place. And you would need a special permit in order to raise bob. Now, I don't know about snowflake bob whites. I don't know if those are the same, if they fall into the same category, but here you would need a permit to raise bob whites. I don't think it's terribly hard to get. I think it's pretty cheap and pretty easy to get, but they're not as prolific of breeders and layers and all those kinds of things as like Coturnics are. So, but not my kind of deal. But congratulations. Hopefully you enjoy them. And then we got Olin Loon maybe says good evening. Good evening to you too. Thank you for joining. Gina says, just to let you know though, where I am in Thayer, I have to get a pet transport to get the kind of bunnies I want, which are giant chinchillas, champagnes, and silver foxes. Yeah, we're Thayer, Missouri. Is that right? I'm not sure where that is. Let me look that up real quick and see. Google Maps is taking forever to load. Let's see. Thayer. Oh, you got a Walmart there, though. You can't be too far out in the middle of nowhere, right? It's by Mammoth Springs. I've heard of Mammoth Springs. Oh, yeah, you're right there. You're down not too far from Mountain Home. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, you're a little ways away from me. Probably close to 2 hour drive at least, I would say. Um, yeah, it's a little ways away. All right, get back to it. Close to Arkansas. Yeah, it looks like right on the border of Arkansas. I bet that's a pretty area, though. I do like Northeast Arkansas. It's beautiful. Uh, Andy Pearson says, "Good evening from up by Kansas City. Quite windy and cooling down." Yeah, we're having the same weather here. Maybe a little bit cooler up there, but I'm sure the wind's probably just as bad. Jimbo Slice says, "Permit in Ohio is $25. Only reason I started is the sell price is crazy. Pairs are going for $150 and hatchie eggs for $30 per egg. Per egg. Holy cow. No kidding." Gina Crow says, "Yeah, our Walmart is the second smallest in the USA." Is that true? I mean, is it really literally the second smallest, or is that just something you guys say? I'm curious. Izzy's Chick says, "Hello to everyone. Hello to you too." Gina Crow says, "Yes, gorgeous. And sorry, everyone. I am new, so I have 11 billion questions, etc." And it says, literally, it is the second smallest. Interesting. Jimbo Slice says, "How's the homestead going?" Are you talking to me? I don't necessarily think of myself as a homesteader. I don't really have a homestead necessarily, but everything's going fine. Animals are doing fine. I have not. I have bred my silver fox, but she hasn't had her babies. She's about a week overdue, so I don't think it's going to happen. I think hopefully she's not just done breeding, but I don't know if it's her, the buck, or what. I don't know. I may try to breed her to my other buck. Let's see what happens. Joy Guthrie says, "Hello, all from Western Oregon, and we're flooding. Prayers for you guys. Hopefully, it doesn't get as bad as it did in Washington. That's I've seen that on the news. That looks real bad, and hopefully everybody's okay up there. Praying for you guys." Let's see. Chris Swinehart says, "Thanks for all the information you provide. An issue with feeding adult quail and chick starter with 20. Any issue with feeding adult quail a chicken/chick starter with 24% protein, 1.7% minimum calcium. I have trouble finding game bird or turkey feed." You can do that. It's not necessarily the ideal for quail. They really do need some other nutrients. It'll probably work until you can find something else. If you have any feed stores near you, check with them and see if they can order it in for you. A lot of times they can get it. They just don't necessarily carry it on a regular basis because there's not a huge market for it. And I'm not talking like Tractor Supply or any of those places. Check feed stores, like an actual feed store. A lot of times can get them. And Gina Crow says, "Amazon if you really want that kind, and no stores." Yeah, that's a thought. It's going to be a little bit pricey on Amazon, I'm afraid. But yeah, you could probably get away with chicken starter. The 24% protein's not bad. It's okay. 1.7% calcium's right about in line with the calcium requirements that they need, so that works out just fine. I would try to see if you could find a turkey or a game bird starter that you could pick up and feed them. And like I said, just check with feed stores. I used to have it special ordered in through my feed store. I found a place where I could get it cheaper and they have it on hand all the time, so I don't do that anymore. But we have a local feed store here that didn't necessarily carry it all the time, but they could order it and have it delivered whenever I needed it. And it didn't cost anything more. It was just the normal price that they would have charged. They just didn't have enough business to carry it on hand all the time. I see your chat, Zoart. Did you leave a comment that I didn't respond to? Zoart's asking if anybody's able to see your chat. I've got my live chat turned on, so we should be good. Jimbo Slice says, "So you breed your rabbits over winter?" Yeah, I do. I breed them over wintertime, fall, winter, early spring. I usually give them summertime off. I don't like to breed in the heat of summer, but primarily fall and winter. Andy Dundas says, "Hey, from Southwest Michigan. Hope everybody's doing well." I'm doing well. Hopefully you are too. How are we doing on 10 minutes in already? Man, time flies. So I'll tell you guys the story about what happened to my computer. Actually, this was weird. So I came in one day and my computer was just shut down. It was just completely and wouldn't power back on. So I thought it's a power supply. So I ordered a new power supply off Amazon, put it in, and it still wouldn't come on. I mean, I was getting power to like I could see the video card was getting power and stuff, but it wasn't the computer wouldn't power on. So I thought, oh no, there's something. Sorry, I got distracted by comment. I thought, oh no, there's something really wrong with my computer. So I got it. I looked up a local computer repair guy because I just didn't have time to mess with it. It's been probably like 20 years since I've really dealt with building a computer or troubleshooting issues like that. So I thought I don't have time to deal with all this. I'll get it in, get it repaired. It only cost me about $50 more than what, if I would have done it myself anyway. So really it was a good deal. Guy was super nice, super friendly, but it turned out the power supply I got and put in was a bad power supply. So ordered one, got a bad power supply in the mail, put it in, and that's why it wouldn't come back on. So I had to get another power supply. But anyway, like I said, it only cost me about $50 more than just buying the power supply. So it worked out okay. And he had it turned around like next day. It was quick. So that worked out okay. But yeah, what are the odds, right? All right. Caesar says his Merry Christmas to everyone. Merry Christmas to you too, because yeah, that's a good point. Next week I will not be on because next week is Christmas on Thursday, so no live broadcast next week. The week after will be New Year, but I will probably still be on. I don't think I have anything going on, so I'll probably still be on New Year's Day. Jimbo says, do you add nesting materials to your nesting boxes? Decided not to breed over winter due to the low temperature. Are you talking about rabbits or quail? You asked me about breeding rabbits. Okay, so for the rabbits, yeah, what I do is I usually wait until they start showing a sign that they're ready to nest. Throw a handful of straw in there every day when it gets real close to that time. When they start carrying it around, like bunching it up, carry it around, hanging out sides of their mouths, that tells me they're ready to build a nest. And I put the nesting box in, and it is a four-sided, well, five-sided, I guess, with the bottom in it, wire box. I put a cardboard liner in it, basically stuff it with straw as full as I can get it, stick it in there, and they build their nest, have their babies in there. As long as they have their babies in there, pull a bunch of fur, which they almost always do. I usually don't have any problems whatsoever. The one time I did have a problem was it was like literally 1 degree Fahrenheit when the babies were born, and they didn't make it. But other than that, I hardly ever have issues with it. Gina Crow says, have you ever ordered from Katie the Quail Lady? UPS totally harmed my eggs. Only 7 out of 36 are okay at the 7-day check, but I got her giant XXL white Coturnix quail eggs. I hope they all hatch. No, I haven't. I'm not really familiar with her at all. And you said she's really nice, by the way. Well, that's good. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with who she is. Let me see. Katie the Quail Lady, huh? Now look, there's got a whole website for it. Interesting. No, I'm not familiar with her. Yeah, that sucks that I've heard some horror stories about USPS with eggs lately. I don't know what the deal is, but hopefully you get a decent hatch out of the ones you have left. We got Thomas Golem, I think it is. Hello from Germany. I finally made it to the live stream. Huge fan. I binge watched all your videos within the last month and a half. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And all the way from Germany, too. What time is it there? It's got to be like 2 in the morning or something, right? Thank you for staying up or getting up early or whatever you did and joining the live. I appreciate it. Wilson Mini Farm says, hey, Chris. Hello to you, too. Brian Allen from Alabama's here. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Hey, there's Andy Rabbit. How's it going, Andy Rabbit? Hey, Gina, Andy Rabbit's not too terribly far from you, I don't think. She has silver foxes and may have some for sale at some point. I don't know. I can't remember. I mean, it's a lot closer than I am, I think. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, so that may be somebody to look for. Gina Crow says, yes, for just paying the shipping, she is willing to replace the eggs. Well, you can't beat that. That's pretty good service, huh? All right, we got Wilson Mini Farm says, hello from Eastern Oregon. I've enjoyed your channel for years. First time I've been able to catch the stream live. We got California rabbits, and I'm looking forward to breeding the trio. Nice. Well, good luck with breeding them, and thank you for watching the videos. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're finding the information that you're looking for and finding the videos helpful. Yeah, don't have any silver fox right now, she says. Yeah, I don't know how far you are from Thayer, Missouri, Andy. But it seems like you're closer than I am anyway. So, Thomas Gollum says, "Hey Chris, I used hemp as a bedding in my outdoor enclosure and have noticed that some of the quail like to bury their eggs. Does anybody else have experienced this?" Well, I use sand, and a lot of times the eggs do get buried in the sand. I'm not sure that the quail do that intentionally. I think a lot of times it just happens because they kick the sand all over the place. I mean, they get in there and scratch at it and kick it around and fluff it up. I mean, they do all kinds of. I don't necessarily know that they're intentionally burying the eggs, but yeah, I've had those kinds of things happen as well. Wilson Mini Farm says, any tips for breeding rabbits in winter? Well, let's see. Any tips for breeding rabbits in winter? Just breed them. I mean, I don't know what to tell you exactly. There's not a whole lot of issues with breeding them in the wintertime. I don't know where you're located. I'm in Southwest Missouri. Our winters are not incredibly harsh. We stay probably average, right above freezing, maybe most of the winter, like 30s, mid 30s, low 30s. We get spells where we're down well below that, but it usually isn't for prolonged periods of time. So I don't know how that stacks up to your wintertime necessarily, but like I said, just stuff their nest boxes full of straw. I make sure they're out of the wind. They don't, they have a good windbreak. Whenever we get really cold and the winds start picking up, I pull the tarps down in front of the hutches to keep the wind off of them a little bit, and that's about it. Honestly, that's really all I do, and everything works out fine. I don't know if that helps. I don't know if there's something specific you're looking for or not. But if you do, I mean, ask me. I'll see what I can do to answer. Let's see. Gina says she's not quite ready yet. And Andy Rabbit says you're only about 30, 45 minutes from there. So there you go. It's pretty close. Gina Crow says I'm in the planning process, getting rabbit condos, etc. first, but looking for sellers. Well, there you go. Don from South Central Illinois is here. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. And I'll let you guys start talking to Gina's got a response for you, Andy Rabbit. I'll let you guys talk to each other. I'll kind of skip over this for a while. Poppy D whatever D434 says, new here. We're near Joplin. Well, that's where I am. I'm in Joplin. So we're close to each other, I guess. Says, why quail? We have rabbits and chickens. Well, you can do quail if you want to. You can do chickens if you want to. The reason that quail work out well for me is I live in town, so I do chickens occasionally, but they're meat chickens. We will do a run of meat chickens, and then we process them all. We put them in the freezer. But what I can't have in town is a rooster. So I mean that would just be totally out of the question. It's against the ordinances. Nobody would. I mean I would get reported. So I can't have a rooster, which means I can't have fertile eggs. So I can't incubate and produce more chickens. But with quail, I can have a quail rooster. They sound like songbirds. Nobody knows the difference. I can keep them in cages off the ground. So it's much more condensed. I don't have to worry about chickens roaming around, getting over the fence, getting in the neighbor's yard, something like that. The quail stay in the cages. They reproduce very well. They grow out fast. 8 weeks, they're ready to process. And I get more than enough eggs from them. So, I mean, that's really the reasons why I raise quail, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Don says, my Christmas present to myself is a couple of standard Rex rabbits to add to the 3 I have now. Well, awesome. Congratulations on that. I have not raised Rex before, but I hear they make a pretty good meat rabbit. Wilson Mini Farm, the standard Rex, that is, of course, not the mini Rex. Wilson Mini Farm says, thanks for the winter rabbit tips. I will also rewatch a few videos of yours. Last question, what's your favorite incubator? And should I splurge for a Brincia? Well, you can if you want to, for sure. It's kind of up to you. I have a Brincia right now. I like it a lot. but it was gifted to me, so I didn't pay for it. So I can't really, say it was. I mean, was it worth it? Maybe. I mean, it works great, so there's nothing wrong with it. I do like that it's plastic. It's easy to clean out. But I used a little giant. I'm looking up. It's up there right now. I used a little giant incubator for years and got great hatch rates out of it. And I'll say about Little Giant, I don't know, Brentsy, I haven't had any issues, so I don't know how their customer service is, but Little Giant's customer service, it's Miller Manufacturing. They are fantastic. I mean, if you have any kind of issue with your incubator, the thermostat goes out, any of those kinds of things, they'll replace it for you. I mean, just they don't even ask when you bought the incubator, nothing. They just replace it. Not the whole incubator, but the part that's broken, they'll send you a replacement part for it. And it's fast turnaround. I mean, they're super helpful. You call up, you have issues, they'll walk you through how to hatch eggs. I mean, they're just, it's the best customer service I've had from any company in a very long time. And I had great hatch rates with them. So, it's up to you. If you want to spend the money on a Brintsy, you're not going to be disappointed. But if you're looking to save a little bit of money, don't feel bad about investing in one of like the Little Giants. They're a perfectly good incubator. Dawn says, I also have a baby born on the wire for the first time mom today. Nothing has followed on day 36 since she was bred. Oh, interesting. I've had that happen once or twice with a first time mom. It's a lot of times they do just have one baby. You never know. I'd give her just maybe another couple of days and then just count it as a failed pregnancy. First time mom, give her another chance and you'll probably be just fine. Andy says, I had the Champagne d'Argents. I don't even know if I pronounced that right. Once, and I'm not sorry I got rid of them. So they didn't work out well for you, huh? Gina Crow says, get Welsh Harlequin ducks. I hear they are quite the males. So you're saying like those ducks are quiet? So yeah, I mean, I could have ducks. The city ordinances say no drakes, but honestly, I mean, I don't know how noisy they'd be. If they're not too noisy, I could probably get away with it. My neighbors are pretty easygoing. As long as nobody complains, I don't have to worry about it. But that's why I can't have a chicken rooster though, because if that thing starts crowing at 4:00 in the morning, and there's gonna be some complaints. And Don says to Andy Rabbit, really, I wanted those too. They're pretty. What were the issues you had with the champagnes, Andy Rabbit? I'm kind of curious. Gina Crow says, no worries on champagnes. I have a seller in New York for the transport set up for spring for pedigrees. Nice. You got that worked out. I'm kind of curious what the issues are with the champagnes. I've never raised them, so I don't really know anything about them, honestly. Donis P says, hi. Hello to you, too. Andy Rabbit says, to Don says, they're pretty, but their attitude don't match their looks. Seems like I've heard that about them. Like they just scream every time you pick them up. They're just hard to handle. Don says, don't want that. Yeah, I don't blame you. Andy Rabbit says, there's a breeder for them in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and I used to know someone in Rogers, Arkansas. Those are pretty close. Let's see, Don says, I think I'll be happy with what I have and the Rexes, maybe a Harlequin. Donna says, what a coincidence. I just received my replacement temperature controller from Miller. It cost me $32. So they didn't offer to send you a free replacement controller? Because anytime I've had an issue, really I've only had 2, maybe 3 issues with my incubator over like 12 years. I mean, I used it for a long time. And every time I've called them, they just immediately like, okay, yep, we'll send you a new part. And it was in the mail. It didn't cost me. They didn't charge me anything. Gina says, that breed, the Drakes are quiet. Interesting. I may have to look into those. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, hey, Chris, it's great to see you. Been a while. Have y'all gotten any good snow yet? No, we had a dusting a couple of weeks ago, but it's like we're in a heat wave right now, or we're going to be. It's supposed to be like 60 degrees on Christmas Day. It's crazy. And Gina Crow says, for champagnes, you have to get the right breeders. Well, you may be right about that. Don says to Donis P, I had an issue with Miller Manufacturing, got a new LG. Every hatch, the controller and sensor would go out. They went they want the purchase date, then started blaming us for their bad parts. That was not my experience. Maybe it's been changed. Maybe I keep talking about how great their customer service is. Maybe it's not as good as it used to be because it's been a couple of years, several years since I've dealt with them. And Gina Crow says they need more socialization when young. Yeah, I think that probably applies to most rabbits, but honestly, like my silver foxes are super easy to handle. I mean, and I don't really mess with them a whole lot, but they are super easy to handle. And even my tamuks are pretty easy as long as you're not picking them up. They don't like to be picked up, but reach in and pet them and stuff. They're fine with that. But they don't like to be. Of course, no rabbit really likes to be picked up. But the silver fox is by far way easier. Thomas Gollum says, I have kept 10 quail from original clutch, have another 15 in the garage, brooders, 3 weeks old, and 3 dozen eggs in the incubator. When should I introduce the garage chicks to the outdoor enclosure? Well, it depends on kind of what your weather is right now. 3 weeks is, I move them during the summertime when it's not too terribly cold out. I wean them off the heat by the end of 2 weeks usually. And then I move them to the outside hutches right at about 3 weeks. I find really good success doing that. If it's super cold out there, though, you may want to give them another week. Just keep them, try weaning them off the heat slowly, and maybe one more week, and then you can move them out. You said your climate's similar to Michigan, so you have snow already. Yeah, I might give them another week and see, and get them weaned off the heat in your garage because I'm assuming it's not a heated garage, so that probably gives them a bit of a taste of the cold without being out there full-fledged in it. But then they're probably going to be fine. Andy Rabbit says, they don't calm down. Were hard to get to breed. People thought I was a arm cutter when I owned them. Yeah, get you some of those welder sleeves. That's a life changer there. All right. Gina Crow says, Hay Farms is one of the best champagne breeders in the USA. I'm not familiar with them. Andy Rabbit says, I couldn't even get ones to calm down that was born at my place that I played with from birth. But oh my goodness, they are gorgeous rabbits. Yeah, I've had rabbits like that before that were just crazy. You couldn't deal with it. To me, it's not worth dealing with. Gina Crow saying, Andy, it's genetics too, what I have found researching them. I can believe that. I believe that genetics play a big part in that. So, yeah, you may very well get a different result from different genetics. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, I'm in touch with 2 great champagne breeders, the national winners for last year, and our Rabbit Club vice president. Oh, wow. It is your Rabbit Club vice president. Nice. So, yeah, it sounds like you got a pretty good connection. The Buck Stops Here Homestead says, here in Mississippi, we have to have a permit from the Fish and Wildlife if you have 100 quail or more. We have a permit, LOL. Is that the same in other states? That's probably only applies to native quail, though, right? Like bobwhites or something. That doesn't apply to Coturnix. It shouldn't anyway. Coturnix are not native birds. So, and Fish and Wildlife only regulates native animals, I believe. You might look into it, but I think that's probably how it runs. No, here in Missouri, if you were going to raise bobwhites because they're a native bird, you would have to have a permit, but Coturnix are not. So, Mother Wolf Rabbitry says Steel Clover Homestead's a great champagne breeder. Interesting. Rabbit Homesteading 3797 says, hey, Chris and friends, hello to you too. Andy Rabbit says there's always someone up around Kansas City, Missouri with champagnes too. Interesting. Let's see. Gina says, oh, I have to watch. I have way too much time on my hands, so I will deal with the pain in the booty breeds. There you go. As long as you know what you're getting into, right? Donna says, I didn't call them, just ordered from their site. We'll call next time for sure. Yeah, I've always had really good results with their customer service. Of course, it probably depends on who you get when you call. But they've always been super helpful. They try to help you out with the hatch. They like, what temperature you have it set out? What are you doing? Try to walk you through it. And if it comes down to there's an issue with it, they just, no problem. We'll send you a new replacement. Poppy434 says, we have New Zealand's, no problems breeding and getting meat. Are silver foxes or other breeds better in some ways? I don't know that they're any better. They're just a little bit different. The things with New Zealand's, I don't have any problems breeding them. Like you said, getting them to breed, getting meat from them, that works out great. And a lot of times they do have slightly bigger litters. If you get really good New Zealand's, they tend to grow out just a little bit faster. The only problems I ever have with New Zealand's, really, especially the does, can be a little neurotic sometimes, a little crazy, just a little, not terrible, but a little bit. So the silver foxes tend to be a little bit calmer. I kind of like them. I don't. It's just a personal preference. There's no real reason. Andy Rabbit says, I have 4 different breeders. I got some from Champagnes, were just not for me, especially after getting silver foxes. Gina Crow says, this is the best podcast community I've ever been to. Well, thank you. I think it's pretty good. There's a lot of super helpful people in here. If I don't know the answers, they're always willing to jump in and help out. Andy Rabbit says, silver foxes are calmer. I have carried 3 in one arm a few different times before. Yeah, I think so too. My silver foxes are always, of course, 2 of them, well, one of them now because I got rid of it, but one of them came from Andy Rabbit, so that may have something to do with it. But yeah, even my doe though, she's pretty easy to handle. She growls, like when I throw her in with the buck, she just growls constantly the whole time, but she lifts right away. I mean, just no problems every time, but she's growling the whole time. It's the funniest, weirdest thing, but she's not, I mean, she's super easy to deal with, very calm. I like them. Gina Crow says, understandable, Andy. Just have my autistic nephew coming to live with me. I want to get him into bunny competitions with rabbits. That'd be a good thing for him, wouldn't it? Andy Rabbit says, I like to play with my rabbits. I like to handle them whenever I want to. Yeah, I don't blame you there. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says, our New Zealand does and bucks tend to get lazy as far as breeding once they hit 10 pounds. We've had does as big as 13 pounds. That's a pretty big doe. Thomas Golem says, Chris, do you have any favorite quail recipes? It could be cool to see you film one. I've done some cooking videos before, cooking quail several times. I think one of my favorite ways to do it, and I don't know that I have a video on this way, is kind of like just a standard saute that you would do with like in most wild game. You just kind of lightly dredge them in like seasoned flour, brown them off in a skillet, put some bacon grease or butter or whatever you like in there. Lightly brown them off. Just, you're not cooking them all the way through, just kind of brown them on every side, get a little bit browning, take them out, mix in some flour, make a roux basically, thin that out with some water or milk or whatever you like to use for that. You can do onions and whatever else you like in there. Return that meat back to that pot. Put the lid on it. Let it simmer until everything's done. You're looking at probably 30 minutes or so, and that's one of my favorite ways to do it. I don't think I have a video on that. Living Traditions Homestead did a video, basically the same thing I'm just talking about on cooking quail that way. Or you see a lot of people doing like a lot of wild game that way. Dove's pretty common done that way. Squirrel, I've seen people cook squirrel that way quite a bit. So you probably see a lot of videos on it. It's just I don't think they call it saute, but that's basically what it is. It's just a saute. But that always turns out pretty good. Serve that with some mashed potatoes, and yeah, I always make it I use bacon grease. I think it works best, but that's just me. Let's see. Gina Crow says, oddly, Andy, I found it harder to find giant chinchilla rabbits than champagne breeders. I had a giant chinchilla one time, and that was a pretty good rabbit. I mean, she didn't have real big litters. Not necessarily the best meat rabbit ever, but the cutest baby rabbits you ever saw. I mean, they were just adorable. I did have a lot of problems with nest box eye with those rabbits when they were babies. Pretty easy to treat, but had a lot of issues with it. Andy Rabbit says, I've had a few silver foxes get up to 13 pounds too. Yeah, my buck that I got from you, Andy, it's pretty big. I don't know how big I don't know. I mean, he's over 10 pounds, but I don't know how much over. Poppy D says, thanks. New Zealand's are pretty nuts sometimes. Yeah, they can be. It's been my experience. Andy Rabbit says, I used to know a few chinchilla breeders before. Gina Crow says, okay, opinions on California rabbits. Yeah, Californias are great. To me, Californias don't get quite as big. They seem to be a little bit smaller, but they're a perfectly good meat rabbit. I like to cross, if you're not looking at like selling or make producing future breeders for yourself. Cross a New Zealand with a California, like a California buck and a New Zealand doe, or even the other way around, tends to work out really well. You get some really good results from that. Dawn says to Andy Rabbit, do I raise up Maggie's feed now that she's had one, or just keep it daily measured amount? I don't know what you're asking about. If you're asking about a rabbit, um, I'm not sure what you're getting at. Like, does she have babies right now? She does. Just fill the feeder up, keep it full. But if you're saying if this is the rabbit you're talking about that had the one on the wire that was a new mother, and I know you're not asking me, you're asking Andy Rabbit, but she can give her answer too. But if this is the rabbit you're talking about was a new mother and had the one baby only on the wire, I would just keep the same daily amount of feed. I'm assuming she's not underweight or anything like that. I wouldn't really bulk up the feed at that point. You don't want her to get overweight. But anyway, Gina Crow says that pasta recipe you made looked good. Yeah, that was good. Was that the Cajun one I did? I think I did one on like a Cajun pasta with quail. That was pretty good. Oh, look at that rabbit homesteading with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Says Chris helps so much. Give him at least a like. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's very nice of you. Um, David Lister says, what specific Coturnix quail do you raise, Chris? I raise Jumbo Brown, Jumbo Meat Maker, Jumbo Pharaoh, whatever you want to call them. It's all the same thing. But that's the ones I raise. And I do that for a couple of reasons. One is, jumbo birds, of course. Why not? If you're breeding for meat, you might as well breed jumbos. But I also, they're feather sexable. So I can look at them and tell which ones are roosters and hens just by looking at them. So that's one thing I really appreciate about them. It's much easier than having to vent sex or any of those kinds of things. And also, to me, they seem to have the best temperament. I don't have really many issues with fighting, unless I'm mixing adult birds together or something. But other than that, I don't really have any issues with it. And I had I've tried some of the other kinds, tuxedos and the white ones. The white ones, when I had white quail, they fought all the time. They were just horribly vicious. So I don't know if it was just the ones I had or what, but temperament and the fact that they're as big as any of the jumbo quail. They lay as many eggs as any of the other quail do. So there's no real benefit to any of the other colors unless you just like the colors. Nothing wrong with that if you do, but I like the feather sexable part of them. So I think that's the best bang for your buck if you're raising for meat and eggs. Andy Rabbit says Californias are good breeders and good foster moms, a little skittish, but easy-ish to handle. Yeah, I agree. That's kind of been my experience with Californias too. Thomas Gollum says, great live chat. Can't wait to look up the podcast. Well, I don't do a different podcast. This is just what I do is YouTube. So some people call it a podcast, but who knows? I just call it a channel, YouTube channel. Anyway, great live chat. Can't wait to look at the podcast. I'm father to twin boys who are about to be 4 months old, and it would be cool to feed quail addiction while listening as they sleep. Yeah, that would be. Oh, congratulations on that, by the way. 4-year-old boys, or 4-month-old boys. That's an exciting time. So hopefully they're doing well. Gina Crow says, Andy, I finally found one in Everton. I just have to get transport. And Dawn says, I have an abundance of continental giants and Flemish giants for sale in this area right now. Continental giants and Flemish giants. I do not like Flemish giants as a meat rabbit. I don't think they make a good meat rabbit. I'm not real familiar with continental giants, but the Flemish giants, in my experience, are just too big boned. They grow out slow. I don't like them as a meat rabbit. Andy Rabbit says, Dawn, she's not nursing, I would leave it the same. As far as the feed amount, I agree. I think I would do the same. Gina says, want to use giant chinchillas for crossbreeding for meat rabbits. Yeah, that would probably work. Gina Crow says, would a California and giant chinchilla cross be good? I don't see why it wouldn't be. I don't see there's any reason why it wouldn't work. The Buck Stops Here. Homestead says, thank you. I will check into it. Thought it was for all quail. You might save us $25 a year, LOL. Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't be. Check into it and see, because, I mean, that's pretty standard. They charge, and they may just say quail, but Coturnix quail are not native, so they shouldn't charge you for those. Look at that. There's a $3 super chat from Gina Crow. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. That may have come in just a few minutes ago, and I just now noticed it. I'm sorry if I did. But thank you. I appreciate that. Dawn says, 52 today. Now snow starts in 52 minutes. Yeah, that crazy weather, right? Let's see. What does this do? I don't know what to do. It says, let's celebrate. There's a little icon. Celebrate your first super chat, but I don't know. I can't do anything. So, well. Thank you. I appreciate it. Don says, I also had yesterday and the day before a hatch of jumbo fab fees and jumbo sparkly pearl fees. Nice. Congratulations on your hatch. Andy Rabbit says, I don't know about that cross. It depends on what you yourself are looking for. It's two different body builds, I think. You may be right. You may be right. I don't know. It'd be worth a shot. Try it. Let's see. Todd Jacobson says, thank you for giving me a kick in the right direction. I mentioned in my little giant incubator malfunctioned after 2 hatches. Customer service awesome, and mailed parts in less than in a week. That's been my experience whenever I have kinds of issues with them. That you know, the two, 3 times I have over 12 years or so, they have always been just super helpful. Brian says California plus New Zealand whites are nice. Yeah, I agree. That's a great cross. Andy Rabbit says Flemish Giants are one of my favorite rabbit breeds as pets. Yeah, I think as pets they would be pretty good. They're pretty docile, pretty easy to handle, but they don't make good meat rabbits in my opinion. Don says, hey Chris, my incubator alarm went off when power went off once. Quail in the shell heard the alarm. Later on, quail is a bird and hears that alarm. It imitates the alarm perfectly. Really? I kind of jumbled up there. I think there may have been a typo, so I'm having a hard time. You're saying you had the alarm go off, the power went off, and then later on the birds were imitating that alarm? That's kind of interesting. Sergio Castro has waving hands. Well, hello to you too. Brian says, greetings from Wisconsin. Good to see you, Brian. Thank you for joining. Let's see. Gina Crow says, no worries. You've been so much help. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you have found my videos helpful. Let's see. Oh, you guys are going to give me a big head. I mean, Chris has good information. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Gina Crow says, so do you, Andy. I agree. Andy does. And says, I need to do more research a bit. I may need to research a bit more for breeds I want to cross with the giant chins. Andy Rabbit says, I've never had to butcher a Flemish giant, so I can't talk about meat on them at all. Yeah, they get great big. I mean, so people would think, oh, that's a great meat rabbit, but their bone to meat ratio is not real good. They have great big bones, so you don't really get much meat. They grow incredibly slow, so to me, they're just not a good choice. Thomas Gullum says, have you ever thought about farming other animals for meat? I definitely understand the reason for quail and rabbit, but maybe there is another option that is as easy. I've thought about some things. I mean, there's only so much I can do here in town without getting too much attention to. I mean, I live in the city. I'm not even on the outskirts really. I'm in the city. So, and it's not a huge town, but it's still, I mean, it's a city. So I can't get away with too much. I definitely couldn't do pigs. That would draw too much attention. I might be able to raise up like a couple of goats. I would probably have to process. I mean, I wouldn't be able to keep them for long. I'd have to get rid of them pretty quick because they would draw attention. Um, I don't know what else I could do. Honestly, we get away with some meat chicken runs and stuff, but not, other than that, maybe some ducks. I could probably do that, but it'd just be temporary. Like raise them up to processing size, process them, and be done. Um, Mother Wolf Rabbitry says they recently passed a new breed, Mini California, for those who wanted to meet breeders without the crazy temperaments. Huh. Interesting. Mini California. Haven't heard of that. Andy Rabbit says, thank you. What are you wanting out of a cross with a chinchilla? Asking for Gina Crow. Andy Dundas says, Merry Christmas to everyone. Jesus is the reason for the season. Absolutely is indeed. I agree. Let's see. Todd Jacobson says, hit the like button, support this fella. Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, we got 21 likes, so we're doing pretty good. 30 people in here. It's a pretty good ratio. Brian says, has anyone played around with bobwhite quail in here? Is it worth the time? I have not raised bobwhite quail, but my understanding anyway, like they're not really a great option for if you're wanting them raised for meat and eggs. They're not prolific layers. They they're not super fast grow outs. They're just not going to be your good. I mean, there's no reason not to raise them if you want to. There's plenty of people that do that like them just fine, but they're not really a good choice when it comes. If you're looking for the best bang for your buck for meat and egg production, bobwhites are not the way to go. But I'll let somebody that maybe has raised them kind of can speak to that a little bit better. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says sheep are essential for us. Yeah, I don't have enough land for sheep, so. Andy Rabbit says, I heard about the Mini California a few weeks ago. I have not heard of them. That's the first I've heard of them. Mother Wolf Rabbitry says they literally live off 4 round bales of hay a year plus a little corn and grass. If you get a ewe that has twins, you're golden. Yeah, I wish, but I can't do it in town. Andy Rabbit says, I made some Mini California Rex before. It just happened. Yep. Gina Crow says, isn't bobwhite breeding more for restoring the numbers in nature? It can be. I mean, there's a lot of people that raise for that. A lot of people raise them too for like training bird dogs with. And some people just raise them because they just like them, Andy Rabbit says, I know someone working on giant Rex rabbits. That might work out pretty well. Thomas Gollum says, thanks for answering all my questions. I've been trying to get a live chat for the past month. Great information and great personality. Well, thank you so much. And you're absolutely welcome. I do my best to answer the questions. I don't always know the answers, but usually we can find an answer in here. Like I said, if I don't know it, somebody in the chat does and can speak to it. Don wants to know, how small are these new Mini Californias? I missed that. Yeah, I'm not familiar with them either. Let me see if I can find anything on them. Mini California rabbit. Looks like 3 to 4 pounds is what they're saying. So yeah, 3 to 4 pound, pretty small, really. Brian says, really, pound for pound, rabbits are the best bet for your backyard meat in town. Yeah, they pretty much are. I mean, they're pretty easy to raise. They don't make a lot of noise. They don't, nobody even knows you have them. they're incredible at converting food to meat. They do a great job with that. There are really a lot of good reasons to raise rabbit. Thomas Gollum says, you're actually the reason I got into the hobby. Just know that your videos are very helpful. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So Andy Rabbit says, near the size of a Havana rabbit. Let's see. Nomada, I think that's what it says. Any suggestions on how to use rabbit urine or dispose of it? I just, yeah, Andy Rabbit saying garden or compost pile. Pretty much, I just let it fall to. I mean, I let everything fall to the ground. I scoop it up every once in a while, throw it on the garden. That's or in the compost pile. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't hurt anything to leave it. Just let it go in there. In fact, it's probably good. There's a lot of calcium deposited in it, so I'm sure it's not bad for the ground at all. And I don't worry about separating it out or any of those kinds of things. If you're like, you're asking maybe like dropping trays or something like, I don't know how you're getting a bunch of urine unless it would be trays, and just the urine by itself seems odd. I don't know how you would get that, but maybe I didn't answer your question. Maybe there's more to it. Let me know if there is. We'll see what we can do. Don says 3 to 4 pounds. I want meat rabbits, not shish kebabs. Quail would outdo them in time to raise and eat, I think. Yeah, that's a little bit small, right? Andy Rabbit says it has a lot of calcium in the urine. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's, you usually see like the white kind of stuff that's in the rabbit urine. That's calcium deposit. I mean, that's how they expel extra calcium from their system. So that, I mean, that's not bad for your ground, for your compost piles and things. You need calcium in the ground. Weather Wolf Rabbitry says, yep, those rabbits are silent until you get a buck who whinnies like a horse when it falls off. Well, that's true. But yeah, generally not all the time. They're not out there making noise all the time. So, the buck stops here. Homestead says, Chris, have you ever done a comparison of incubating eggs in a turner versus laying the eggs down and turning them? No, I don't honestly think there would be much of a difference at all. The only thing the turner does is just makes it easier. There's no reason you have to have a turner. I mean, you can get pretty good results with just, going there and kind of move them around every once in a while, once or twice a day, and you're going to get probably the same results. I just use a turner because it makes it more hands-off. Gina Crow says, yes, Chris, I was going to do chickens or ducks till I saw your videos. Now it's quail and rabbits. Yeah, well, I don't know if that's good or not. Hopefully it is. Hopefully you're enjoying it. I do like the quail. It's so much easier. You just keep them in cages than trying. I mean, chickens need a lot of room comparatively. Brian says, I sold a ton of young white New Zealands in California cross New Zealands this year to guys doing backyard meat startups. Market for rabbits is crazy here in Wisconsin. Yeah, I did a pretty good job selling silver foxes, the pedigree silver foxes. They sold pretty well. My Tamucks did not sell at all. Nobody wanted them. But again, I think it was a lot of times, I think it's just because people don't know what Tamucks are. I had somebody reach out to me on one and ask me if I had rabbits. I said, yeah, I have Tamucks right now. And they said, oh, I'm looking for New Zealand whites. I said, well, they are a New Zealand white. They're just a Tamuck is a specific breed. And they never responded. So I think maybe I need to market them as just a New Zealand white. People know what that is. Andy Rabbit says, good for bud rot or blossom end rot, I think is what you're talking about, on tomatoes. The calcium is? Well, it is, but that's not, I mean, the common misconception is that blossom end rot is caused by a lack of calcium in your soil, and it can be because of that, but more than likely, it's rare that you're going to have a huge deficiency in calcium in your soil. More than likely, it's usually due to the calcium they can't take the calcium up. And that could be inconsistent watering. There's a lot of different factors that can kind of factor into that. Most of the time, it's with the watering. Inconsistent watering or over watering too can do that too. So that's usually the bigger issue. But calcium from the rabbit urine is not going to hurt anything at all. I like how people say throw an eggshell in there because eggshells are calcium. You know how long it takes an eggshell to break down and work into the soil in a form that it can be taken up by a plant? It's not going to do any good for you for years, so don't do that. You can. It's not going to hurt anything, but it's not doing any good. Don says, hello, my buck did that tonight when he fell off. I described it as a loud grunt. Yeah, it's pretty close to that. Gina Crow says, it's good. I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. Oh, it's good. The quail, not doing the chickens and the ducks, the quail is good. Okay, good. Mother Wolf Rabbit said, "Are you supplemental light for your quail and rabbits this winter?" We just got ours up, and it really comes in handy since the sun is going down at 5 p.m. I do supplemental light for the quail to keep them laying. I don't add any to the rabbits. I don't find that they need it. They're usually pretty willing to breed, even in the wintertime. But I don't have any issues. Andy Rabbit says a buck can make some funny noises. I agree. Oh my goodness, we're almost out of time. We only got about 5 minutes left. We'll see what I can get through in the next 5 minutes. Gina Crow says, "Oh, that reminds me. Do you think roll-out cages are cruel? I mean, the birds are at an angle, so I'm not sure if that causes discomfort." I don't. I don't necessarily think it's cruel for them. I mean, they seem to do just fine. I've tried the roll-out cages. I didn't like them. It's not that big. I mean, I got to open the cage up to get them feed anyway. It's not that big a deal for me to just collect eggs when I do it. I don't have any problems with that. What I didn't like about the rollout cages is if I put anything in the cage, it ends up right at the front of the cage, right in front of the door every time, because like feeders or anything, it's always right at the front of the cage. I just didn't like them. They just didn't work out well for me. Oh my gosh, I lost track of where I was. There we go. Zora says, "I raise Freedom Rangers, meat chickens. I'm familiar with them. Catfish in quarter-acre pond. The quail are most meat for area. I raised 12 Freedom Rangers, 30-square-foot tractor this year." Yeah, I've done, let's see, my tractor is, Andy Rabbit says, in containers. Oh, yeah. Still raising, tomatoes in containers. It's tough to raise a tomato in a container unless you get like a container variety. But if you're trying to raise like a beefsteak tomato in a container, it's just hard to keep them watered consistently without them drying out or being overly watered, one of the two. Doesn't work too well in my opinion. But anyway, so yeah, my chickens, I've done quite a few. I did way too many one time in there, but let's see, my tractor is 8x6, I think. So that's like 24, 25 square foot, something like that. And I've done like, let's see, I think we did like 30 in there, maybe. I mean, it was a little crowded the last couple of weeks. Anyway, Mother Wolf Roger says they can grunt and then they can scream. It's shocking if you've never heard it before. So funny when you pick up a new baby and it starts hollering mouth wide. Yeah, rabbits do scream for sure. I've heard them scream plenty of times. Gina Crow says, "Got to grind eggshells and pop into the compost piles." Yeah, I mean, it's best to grind them up, but they still take a long time to break down. So, I mean, it's not anything, but you're probably not getting a whole lot from them, honestly. All my eggshells go in the compost pile, though. Yeah, I mean, why not? Lazy Homestead says, "Do you have a video covering the pros and cons of different rabbit breeds? After watching a few of your live streams, thinking I might want to start raising them. Do you know where to start? But don't know where to start." I've done videos on different rabbit breeds before. Honestly, I mean, there's a handful that you can choose from that are pretty good. Standard Rexes. You're looking for a rabbit that's roughly a 10-pound rabbit when it's full grown. So that would be like a Standard Rex. The California, the New Zealands, Silver Foxes. There's a couple of other ones, but those are kind of the ones that are most common used for meat rabbit breeds, and all of them are going to be about the same. It's hard to beat if you're just looking for like big litters, fast production. It's hard to beat New Zealand's and Californias. I mean, they actually do really well with that. My Silver Foxes have decent sized litters, but they don't grow out super fast. If you can get good full blood, New Zealand's, you can usually get them to 5 pounds by like 8 weeks. My Silver Foxes take closer to 10 to 12 weeks to get to that rate, which is not that big a deal, but it's up to you. Where are we at on time? 1 minute left. Oh my gosh, I got a couple of comments. Let me see if I can get through them real quick. Andy Rabbit says, "I toss my eggshells in the compost or in the containers over winter. Back soldier flies eat them up fast." Yeah, that would work. That would help break them down for sure. Poppy D says, "Speaking of room, I wonder if I'm giving my New Zealands enough. 2 foot by 3 foot cage, that seems fine." Yeah, I use 30 by 36. So you're not far off that. You're just a little bit low on one side, but it's probably enough, especially for bucks. The does might need a little bit bigger cage whenever they've got babies, but that doesn't sound terrible. Thomas Golem says, please disregard this question if inappropriate. If raising quail and rabbit a hobby, part-time job? If so, what is your profession? For some reason, I envision you as a paramedic. No, I'm not a paramedic. I'm a data analyst for a mental health facility. I spent about 30 years working in call centers. When I left the call center, I was in account management. So I managed kind of the client company relationship. I left that company because it was just starting to dwindle down, and I felt it was time to move on. Left with under good. I mean, it was a great company, great people I worked for. I left under good circumstances, and took a job 2 years ago, actually, almost exactly, as a data analyst for a mental health facility. So that's what I do. Raising rabbits and quail and stuff like that is just kind of my part-time thing. It's not a job at all. I sell a few rabbits here and there, and sometimes some quail here, but it's not something I really do on a regular basis. I raise them primarily just to provide meat. That's the same reason I garden, is just to provide food for the family, and things I like to do. So wasn't an inappropriate question at all. But no, I'm not a paramedic. I don't have any experience doing that. Let's see. Thomas says, I'm an American chef living in Germany, working as a sous chef in a ritzy Japanese restaurant. Interesting. that's an interesting life, I'm sure. Gina Crow says, I get some amazing micro tomatoes for my container tomatoes. Yeah, I bet they would. You get the right container tomato, they're going to do fine, but they're not going to be very big. They're going to be small tomatoes for sure. All right, guys, I'll jump off here. We got too much going on. Too many comments. I can't get to them last time. So it's time to wrap this one up. Everybody have a Merry Christmas. I won't see you guys next week, so hopefully you get to spend some time with your family, get to enjoy the Christmas time, and I guess that's it. Well, we'll see you guys in probably 2 weeks, I think. If I can't make it on New Year, I'll post a comment in the community section so you'll know. But other than that, we'll just wrap this one up. So thank you guys for joining me. We'll see you guys later. And as always, God bless.